The Macchi C.200 Saetta, or Lightning, was a pivotal aircraft in the history of Italian aviation during World War II. As one of the first modern monoplanes to enter service with the Regia Aeronautica, it marked a significant leap forward from the biplanes that had dominated the skies in previous decades. Designed by the renowned engineer Mario Castaldi, who had previously made his mark with record-setting seaplanes, the Saetta combined innovative features with a robust design that would see it serve on multiple fronts throughout the war. When it first took to the skies in 1937, the C.200 was a marvel of its time. It featured a sleek, all-metal construction, retractable landing gear, and an enclosed cockpit, elements that were cutting-edge for the era. However, like many pioneering designs, it wasn't without its teething problems. Early test flights revealed stability issues that nearly led to the aircraft being grounded. But through perseverance and engineering ingenuity, these challenges were overcome, and the Saetta went on to become one of the most produced Italian fighters of the war, with over 1,000 units built. The name Saetta, meaning lightning or arrow, was fitting for an aircraft that aimed to be fast and agile. Yet, in the rapidly evolving landscape of aerial warfare, the C.200 found itself somewhat underpowered and underarmed compared to its contemporaries. Despite these limitations, it earned a reputation for excellent maneuverability and stability, particularly in high-speed dives. Its pilots appreciated its handling characteristics, and it proved to be a formidable opponent in the hands of skilled aviators. As we delve into the story of the Macchi C.200 Saetta, we'll explore its development, technical specifications, operational history, and lasting legacy. From the drawing boards of Aeronautica Macchi to the battlefields of North Africa and the Eastern Front, the Saetta's journey is a testament to Italian engineering and the bravery of those who flew it. Number E. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, here's a little-known fact that might surprise you. Despite its advanced design, the C.200's cockpit was initially fully enclosed, a feature that was quite modern for the time. However, many pilots preferred to fly with the canopy open, partly due to issues with the glazing, and partly because it allowed for better visibility and communication. So if you ever wondered why photos of the Saetta often show it with an open cockpit, now you know. Sometimes, even in aviation. Old habits die hard. With that, let's take a step back in time to the mid-1930s, when the seeds of this remarkable aircraft were first sown. The story of the Macchi C.200 Saetta begins in the mid-1930s, a period of rapid advancement in aviation technology. The Italian Air Force, or Regia Aeronautica, was seeking to modernize its fleet, moving away from the biplanes that had been the mainstay of its fighter squadrons. In 1936, the Ministry for Aviation issued a request to Italian aircraft manufacturers for a new monoplane fighter that would feature retractable landing gear, full metal construction, and be powered by the Fiat A74 RC-38 radial engine. Among the designers who rose to this challenge was Mario Castaldi, the chief engineer at Aeronautica Macchi. Castaldi was no stranger to high-performance aircraft. He had previously designed several racing seaplanes that competed in the prestigious Schneider Trophy races. His most notable achievement was the Macchi MC-72, which set a world speed record for seaplanes in 1934, reaching an astonishing 440.68 miles per hour, a record that stood for decades. Drawing on his experience with high-speed aircraft, Castaldi set out to create a fighter that would embody the latest advancements in aerodynamics and engineering. The design process for what would become the C.200 began in earnest in 1935. Castaldi's vision was to produce an aircraft that was not only fast and maneuverable, but also robust enough to withstand the rigors of combat. The first prototype, designated MM-336, took to the skies on December 24, 1937, piloted by Giuseppe Bure. This initial flight was a success, demonstrating the aircraft's potential. However, as with many new designs, there were issues that needed to be addressed. One of the most significant problems was the aircraft's tendency to flip over during tight turns exceeding 90 degrees. This instability was a serious concern and led to several accidents during early testing. You can almost imagine the test pilots holding their breath, hoping the wings wouldn't decide to take an unscheduled nap mid-flight. To resolve this issue, Castaldi and his team made modifications to the wing design. They adjusted the wing's aerodynamics to improve stability, particularly in high-angle maneuvers. Additionally, the original fully enclosed cockpit was found to be problematic. The glazing was of poor quality, making it difficult for pilots to see clearly, and it was prone to fogging up. As a result, many pilots preferred to fly with the canopy open, and eventually, the design was modified to feature an open cockpit as standard. Another challenge was the armament. Initially, the C.200 was equipped with two 12.7mm Breda Safat machine guns, which were considered adequate at the time. However, as the war progressed and enemy aircraft became better armored, there was a need for heavier firepower. This led to later variants being equipped with additional machine guns or even cannons, but for the C.200, the standard armament remained the two machine guns. Despite these hurdles, the Macchi C.200 impressed the Italian military authorities, and in 1938, it won the production contract over its competitors, which included the Fiat G50, Reggiane RE2000, Caproni Visola A5, AUT-18, and Imam Row 51. Production began in 1939, and by the time Italy entered World War II, on June 10, 1940, there were 144 C.200s available for service. The production of the C.200 was a collaborative effort among several Italian manufacturers. Aeronautica Macchi produced 395 units, including the two prototypes. Società Italiana Ernesto Breda manufactured 556 aircraft, and Società Aeronautica Italiana Ambrosini contributed 200 units. In total, 1,153 C.200s were built between May 1939 and October 1942. As production ramped up, the C.200 underwent several modifications to improve its performance and address issues identified during operational use. One notable change was the introduction of a fixed tailwheel instead of the retractable one, which simplified maintenance and reduced weight. Additionally, the cockpit design evolved from the initial enclosed canopy to an open one, reflecting pilot preferences and practical considerations. Throughout its development, the C.200 benefited from Castaldi's expertise in aerodynamics, resulting in an aircraft that was highly maneuverable and stable in flight. Its all-metal construction made it durable, and the air-cooled radial engine was reliable in various climates, from the deserts of North Africa to the frozen steppes of Russia. However, the choice of the Fiat A74 RC38 engine, while reliable, meant that the C.200 was somewhat underpowered compared to its contemporaries, such as the British Hurricane or the German Bf 109. The engine produced 870 horsepower, which limited the aircraft's top speed to around 503 kilometers per hour at 4,500 meters. This was adequate in the early years of the war, but became a disadvantage as faster Allied fighters entered the fray. Despite this, the C.200's excellent handling characteristics and robustness made it a favorite among Italian pilots. Its ability to perform well in dogfights, combined with its stability during high-speed dives, allowed it to hold its own against more powerful adversaries. In summary, the development of the Macchi C.200 Saetta was marked by innovation, challenges, and adaptations. From its inception as a response to a military requirement to its production and deployment, the C.200 represented a significant step forward for Italian aviation. Its design reflected the transition from biplanes to modern monoplanes, and its service record would demonstrate both its strengths and limitations in the crucible of war. The Macchi C.200 Saetta was a single-seat fighter aircraft that embodied the transition from biplanes to modern monoplanes in the late 1930s. Its design incorporated several advanced features for its time, making it a notable aircraft in the history of aviation. The C.200 featured an all-metal construction, which was a significant departure from the wood and fabric used in many contemporary aircraft. The fuselage was built using a semi-monocoque structure, with stressed skin contributing to the overall strength and rigidity. This construction method not only enhanced durability, but also allowed for a more streamlined shape, reducing drag and improving performance. Picture it as a sleek metallic arrow slicing through the sky. a far cry from the boxy biplanes of old. The wings were of a cantilever design, meaning they are supported solely by the fuselage without the need for external bracing. This clean design further reduced drag and improved aerodynamics. The wings had a slight dihedral angle, which helped with lateral stability. Initially, the aircraft had fully retractable landing gear, but later models featured a fixed tailwheel to simplify maintenance. The retractable gear, when it worked, was a point of pride, though cranking it up by hand must have felt like a workout for the pilot. Powering the C.200 was the Fiat A74 RC38, a 14-cylinder air-cooled radial engine. This engine produced 870 horsepower at takeoff and was known for its reliability. The choice of a radial engine was common in Italian aircraft of the period, as it offered good power-to-weight ratios and was less vulnerable to battle damage than liquid-cooled inline engines. The engine drove a 3-blade constant-speed propeller, which allowed for efficient power delivery across a range of speeds. The propeller was enclosed in a streamlined cowling that helped reduce drag and improve cooling. In terms of performance, the C.200 had a maximum speed of 503 kilometers per hour, or 313 miles per hour, at an altitude of 4,500 meters, or 14,764 feet. Its service ceiling was 10,700 meters, or 35,105 feet, and it could climb to 6,000 meters, or 19,685 feet, in approximately 7 minutes and 33 seconds. The aircraft had a range of 570 kilometers, or 354 miles, which could be extended to 870 kilometers, or 541 miles, with an external fuel tank. The standard armament of the C.200 consisted of two 12.7mm Breda Safat machine guns mounted in the engine cowling and firing through the propeller arc. Each machine gun had 370 rounds of ammunition, providing a reasonable amount of firepower for the time. However, as the war progressed, this armament was found to be somewhat inadequate against better armored Allied aircraft. 2 machine guns were fine for 1939, but by 1942, pilots must have wished for a bit more punch to their firepower. To address this, some variants of the C.200 were equipped with additional machine guns or even cannons, but the standard model retained the two 12.7mm guns. Additionally, the C.200CB variant was designed as a fighter bomber and could carry up to 320 kilograms or 705 pounds of bombs under the wings. One of the most distinctive features of the C.200 was its cockpit design. The prototype and early production models featured a fully enclosed canopy, which was a modern feature intended to improve aerodynamics and protect the pilot from the elements. However, due to issues with the quality of the glazing and pilot preferences for better visibility, many aircraft were flown with the canopy open. Eventually, the design was modified to feature an open cockpit with a windscreen, which became the standard configuration. Imagine squinting through a foggy canopy in the heat of battle. It's no wonder pilots opted for the open-air experience. The cockpit was equipped with standard flight instruments of the time, including an altimeter, airspeed indicator, compass, and engine gauges. The controls were conventional, with a stick for aileron and elevator control and rudder pedals for yaw control. The retractable landing gear was operated manually via a hand crank, which required some effort from the pilot. Pilots who flew the C.200 praised its handling characteristics. The aircraft was highly maneuverable, with excellent roll rates and responsive controls. Its stability in high-speed dives was particularly noted, making it effective in hit-and-run tactics. However, the aircraft did have some quirks. For example, it required careful handling during takeoff and landing due to its tendency to ground loop, if not managed properly. The C.200's agility made it a formidable opponent in dogfights, especially against less maneuverable aircraft. Its ability to perform tight turns and quick rolls allowed skilled pilots to outmaneuver their adversaries. However, its relatively low top speed meant that it could be outpaced by faster Allied fighters, necessitating tactics that played to its strengths. Several variants of the C.200 were developed to adapt to different roles and improve performance. The prototype models had fully retractable landing gear and a closed cockpit. Pre-series aircraft with serial numbers from MM4495 to MM4520, incorporated modifications to address stability issues. The standard production version featured a fixed tailwheel and an open cockpit. The C.200 was adapted for operations in North Africa with a sand filter for the carburetor. The C.200 was a fighter-bomber variant capable of carrying bombs or external fuel tanks. There was also a proposed C.200 with a more powerful engine, but it did not enter production. Each variant aimed to enhance the aircraft's capabilities or adapted to specific operational environments, reflecting the evolving needs of the Italian Air Force during the war. In conclusion, the Macchi C.200 Saetta was a well-designed aircraft that incorporated many advanced features for its time. While it had some limitations, particularly in terms of engine power and armament, its overall performance and handling made it a valuable asset to the Regia Aeronautica. Its technical specifications and design choices reflect the state of aviation technology in the late 1930s and early 1940s, marking it as a significant step in the evolution of fighter aircraft. The Macchi C.200 Saetta entered service with the Regia Aeronautica in 1939, just as the storm clouds of World War II were gathering over Europe. By the time Italy officially entered the war on June 10, 1940, there were 144 C.200s available, making it one of the primary fighters in the Italian arsenal. Although Italy declared war on France and Britain in June 1940, the C.200 saw limited action during the brief campaign against France, which ended with the armistice on June 24, 1940. The aircraft was primarily used for patrols and reconnaissance missions over the Alps and the Mediterranean. One of the first major engagements for the C.200 was during the Battle of Britain. In late 1940, a contingent of Italian aircraft, including C.200s, was sent to Belgium to participate in the air campaign against Britain. However, the Italian fighters were outclassed by the British Spitfires and Hurricanes, and their contribution was minimal. The harsh weather conditions and logistical challenges further hampered their effectiveness. It must have been a chilly wake-up call for pilots used to the sunny Mediterranean. More significant was the role of the C.200 in the defense of Malta. The strategic island was a thorn in the side of Axis supply lines to North Africa, and the Regia Aeronautica launched numerous bombing raids against it. C.200s were used to escort bombers and engage British fighters defending the island. The aircraft's maneuverability allowed it to hold its own against the Hurricanes, but as Spitfires were introduced to Malta, the C.200 began to show its age. In North Africa, the C.200 played a crucial role in the seesaw battles between the Axis and Allied forces. Operating in the harsh desert environment, the aircraft's robustness and air-cooled engine proved advantageous. The C.200 variant, equipped with a sand filter, was specifically adapted for these conditions. Italian pilots flying the C.200 engaged in dogfights with British Hurricanes, Tomahawks, and later Kitty Hawks. While the C.200 was generally outmatched in terms of speed, its superior maneuverability allowed skilled pilots to achieve successes. Notably, during the Battle of El Alamein in 1942, C.200s provided air cover and conducted ground attack missions against Allied positions. Perhaps the most remarkable chapter in the C.200's operational history was its service on the Eastern Front. In 1941, Italy sent an expeditionary force, including aircraft, to support Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union. The 22nd Autonomous Fighter Group, equipped with 51 C.200s, was deployed to the Ukraine. Despite facing harsh weather conditions and superior Soviet aircraft, like the Yak-1 and Laj-3, the Italian pilots achieved an impressive combat record. Between August 1941 and January 1943, they claimed 88 enemy aircraft shot down and destroyed another 50 on the ground, while losing only 15 C.200s in combat. This kill-to-loss ratio of nearly 6-to-1 is a testament to the skill of the Italian pilots and the capabilities of the aircraft in the hands of experienced aviators. One notable mission occurred on August 27, 1941, when a formation of C.200s intercepted a group of Soviet bombers and fighters, downing several without suffering any losses. The aircraft's ability to operate from rudimentary airfields and its reliability in extreme conditions contributed to its success on this front. Imagine landing on a frozen field in the middle of a Russian winter. Those pilots earned their stripes. The C.200 also saw action in the Balkans during the invasion of Greece and Yugoslavia. In Greece, it faced off against British and Greek fighters, while in Yugoslavia, it was used for both air superiority and ground attack roles. Additionally, as the war progressed, C.200s were employed in the defense of Italy itself, intercepting Allied bombing raids and engaging in combat over the Italian mainland and Sicily. With the introduction of more advanced fighters like the Macchi C.200 Fulgor, the C.200 was increasingly relegated to secondary roles. One such role was that of a fighter bomber, where it could carry bombs or external fuel tanks under its wings. This versatility allowed the aircraft to remain useful even as newer models took over the primary fighter duties. In this capacity, C.200s conducted ground attack missions, targeting enemy troop concentrations, supply lines, and airfields. Their ability to deliver precision strikes made them valuable assets in supporting ground operations. Picture a Saetta swooping low over the desert, dropping bombs with pinpoint accuracy, quite a sight for the troops below. Following Italy's armistice with the Allies on September 8, 1943, the country was divided, with some forces joining the Allies and others remaining loyal to the Axis. The C.200 found itself on both sides of this divide. The Aeronautica Co-Belligerante Italiana, or Italian Co-Belligerent Air Force, fighting alongside the Allies, operated a small number of C.200s, primarily in training and liaison roles. Meanwhile, the Aeronautica Nazionale Repubblicana, or Italian National Republican Air Force, aligned with Germany, used the remaining C.200s for training and home defense. After the war, the few surviving C.200s were used by the Aeronautica Militare, or Italian Air Force, for training purposes until 1947, when they were finally retired. Throughout its service, the C.200 was flown by many skilled pilots who left their mark on aviation history. One such pilot was Capitano Carlo Maurizio Ruspoli, who achieved several victories in North Africa and was known for his daring tactics. Another notable figure was Tenente Colonnello Armando Francois, who led the 22nd Autonomous Fighter Group on the Eastern Front and was instrumental in their successes against Soviet aircraft. Pilots often spoke highly of the C.200's handling, particularly its responsiveness and agility. However, they also noted its limitations, such as the underpowered engine and light armament. Despite these drawbacks, many pilots developed a fondness for the aircraft, appreciating its reliability and the confidence it inspired in combat. One humorous anecdote from the Eastern Front involves a C.200 pilot who, after running out of ammunition during a dogfight, managed to maneuver his aircraft so close to a Soviet fighter that he could see the enemy pilot's surprised expression. The Italian pilot waved cheekily before breaking off, leaving the Soviet pilot bewildered but unharmed. You have to admire the audacity, turning a dogfight into a friendly wave-off. Such stories highlight the human element behind the machines and the camaraderie among pilots, even in the midst of war. In conclusion, the operational history of the Macchi C.200 Saetta is a rich tapestry of combat experiences across multiple theaters. From the skies over Malta to the frozen expanses of Russia, the Saetta proved itself as a capable and resilient fighter. While it may not have been the fastest or most heavily armed aircraft of its time, its contributions to the Italian war effort and the skill of its pilots ensured that it left a lasting legacy in aviation history. The Macchi C.200 Saetta holds a significant place in the annals of aviation history as one of Italy's most important fighter aircraft of World War II. Despite being overshadowed by later designs like the C.202 Fulgor and C.205 Veltro, the Saetta laid the groundwork for these more advanced fighters and served as a crucial stepping stone in the evolution of Italian military aviation. Today, only a few examples of the C.200 survive, preserved in museums around the world. One notable specimen is located at the National Museum of the United States Air Force in Dayton, Ohio, where it stands as a testament to the ingenuity and craftsmanship of its designers and builders. Another is displayed at the Museo Storico dell'Aeronautica Militare in Vigna di Valle, Italy. bearing the serial number MM8307, though exhibited as MM7707. The Saetta's legacy is also kept alive through the stories of the pilots who flew it and the historians who study its impact. Its role in various theaters of war, particularly on the Eastern Front, where it achieved remarkable success, ensures that it is remembered not just as a machine, but as a symbol of courage and skill. Dear, for aviation enthusiasts and historians alike, the Macchi C.200 Saetta remains a fascinating subject, embodying the challenges and triumphs of a nation at war. As we look back on its history, we can appreciate the ingenuity that went into its design and the bravery of those who took to the skies in defense of their country. So, the next time you see a photo of this distinctive aircraft, with its open cockpit and radial engine, remember the stories behind it, the engineers who overcame design flaws, the pilots who pushed it to its limits, and the countless missions it flew in some of the most pivotal battles of World War II. Hopefully, this tale gives the Saetta the spotlight it deserves, even if its lightning-fast name came with a bit of a leisurely pace by 1943 standards.